that I'm now using to build myself up? We are insane. Don't allow nobody to call you nigga. And I'm going to give you an example of why, and it's going to make a lot of sense. Two brothers arguing and fighting in the street, and one got that hammer. There's some old timers in the room. One got a gun. Right? I'm pointing at the old timer here as a little tease to the chief. One got a gun, right? If my dialogue with my brother, I always acknowledge that he's my brother, it's going to be a little hard to do certain things. Let me make the analogy clear to you. If I constantly refer to my brother as a nigga, think about all of the synonyms conceptually with that term. We talk about the thought behind the thought right now. Remember, thought becomes something. Thought is something. Whenever you speak a thought in the ether, you are speaking it into existence. Every time you refer to your brother as a nigger, it becomes easier for you to treat him as such. And I'm going to give you a very, very transparent and logical explanation of why. Imagine for a second, I'm arguing with my brother, who I always refer to as my nigger. And then I go back home to go get my gun because I'm coming back to shoot this nigger. But if I always refer to him as my brother, and I go in the room and I get my gun, and I say to myself, yo, I'm about to kill this brother. That shit don't even make sense. I'm about to kill this brother, my brother. You see how language is effective? You see how the proper use of a language becomes effective in how you treat and deal with one another? Don't you know, understand, and internalize that it's almost impossible to pull out a gun and shoot my brother? Do you understand how much easier it is to pull out a gun and shoot this nigga? It's a much lower frequency. You can't even almost say nigga and feel that high and happy because you put so much disrespect on the term. If you got a father that's in your life and you love him, you don't never catch yourself referring to him as this nigga. Some of us who wasn't raised with fathers and are upset about that, and he come around 20 years later because I got a sports contract, I'm like, man, what this nigga want? You almost can't even put respect on the term nigga, never. It's a term of misendearment. Yeah, I just made that word up. This is not a term of endearment. And this system is designed to foster that. Because now they got real tricky with it. They said, guess what, Johnny? When you talking with Ricky and Tom and Richard, we ain't gonna say what the other words for Richard is right now. But when you talking with them guys, you gonna also call yourselves niggas. So now black people think it's super cool, because even little white boys say nigga. What's the white boy with the Chirac song? What's his name? Of all names, he got Slim Jesus?
Yes,
God damn.
Yeah.
How many times do he say nigga in that song? And that song sold a lot on iTunes. And guess what? White people wasn't the only one that bought it. I skipped a lot of slides. I need to go back to the original slides. So we talked about this. I'm going to touch on it for less than 60 seconds. When we mention the term revolution, this is the image that we envisage. So all a person has to do on Facebook, you got it. No matter if you got Android, no matter if you got Apple phone, everybody got this emoji, right? Yeah. And Apple done got so cool that you could change the hand and make them black, right? Yeah. You can really be black and proud, right? This is the image that you envisage. This is the current conception of black liberation. And guess what? This thinking has to be stopped and must be killed. Because this becomes an excuse for not putting in work. I support my people. You saw the Facebook picture I took with Brother Polite at the last lecture? I support my people. I was with SETI in Cincinnati, and I was like this. But when the police demonstrated in front of the courtroom to protest against the other police officer who was convicted of slaying our own, you was at home also, like this. When this becomes the image for black liberation, you don't deserve to be here. Black liberation is an action and a lifestyle. You must live it. It is more than something that you take a picture op with. If you make peaceful revolution impossible, you now have made violent revolution inevitable. Does everybody understand that? So we're living right now at a time in our country where peaceful revolution is impossible. Because even when I gather and assemble according to the Constitution peacefully to protest for right against the wrongs, you have made it impossible because you've let loose the dogs on me. You have incarcerated me for exercising what you have told us is our rights. But the problem with that for black people that living in this country is this. You were never included in that narrative. They took away my rights. When that was written, you were not in mine. That's part of your problem. You're protesting for the rights you believe the country included you in. Don't you know that the very same rights that you go into the courtroom America and tell them that they are abusing was written while your parents were still slaves? Guess what that meant? You're not included. You ever heard of the 3/5 clause? Where we decided to consider black men and women as 3/5 of a man because their voting power would affect us, but the thought still remains the same? There's a point in our history when we're on record considering each of you as 3/5 of a man. You're not even a goddamn man in their eyes. Does that make sense? So when you go to court and they hand you a court-appointed attorney, my mom's gonna love this. Don't you know that that's telling you that you're not even a human being? Right. I wish this was the old me because I would say it the way I really want to say it. Do you know that any time a court-appointed attorney speaks for you, you are telling that courtroom that you are not even a human being? And you know what this means. I want to say more. You're telling the court that you're not even a human being. You're telling the court that I am not competent to speak for myself. Get you a Black's Law Dictionary and find out if you think I'm playing. Our Moors going to tell you what edition to get. Shout out to the Moors. The revolution has always been in the hand of the young. The young always inherit the revolution. As per Huey Newton, I put great respect on his name. Let me read that again. The revolution has always been in the hands of the young. So while us coming into older age, and certainly our parents, look at the young brothers and sisters in the street who tear shit up during the riots. Oh, they look what they're doing. They behaving no better than the police. We trying to fight. But guess what, sister? I didn't see no older black man out there. And I damn sure didn't see too many older black women out there. You know who the people are going to be that's actually going to fight when shit hit the fan? It's going to be them same kids you laughing at that got their pants down past their ass. Who don't know enough to not express themselves in public better, because many of them are victims to their family, their environment in this country. But don't forget, those are going to be the vanguards of the revolution. Understand that. When it hit the fan, oh, you're going to want to be next to Jamel with the long pants. When it hit the fan, you're going to want to be next to the brother that got the baggiest pants in the room. Because more than likely, that's going to be the brother that's not going to allow a police officer to whoop you upside your goddamn head where your man is at home watching from TV like this. Look at this picture and admire it. Am I a Black Panther? No. Was I ever a Black Panther? No. How much respect do we collectively put on the Black Panther movement? I'm hoping that's an emphatic yes. Got to be. Because if it wasn't for demonstrations of discipline and power, and we ain't taking it and having it no more, I couldn't be able to beat this bowl on the stage right now. We gotta put respect on people that put in work before us, which means it entails that you must study about people that lived before you. Because you and me are certainly not the beginning and end of revolution. Go back and watch those that paved the way for you. Look at this line. This kid looked like he could be my son. I wouldn't give him more than 14. Maybe. This kid right here looked like 17. And guess what? I know y'all can see. They on the front line. With respect on it. The point of this image and this picture is to show you that we may have different ideologies in the community, but every community has a facet of truth that will benefit the collective family. And we can certainly look at a group like this and see how we can become military if need be, right or wrong. I have a question. Is change something that you ask for?
No.
I want to hear that loud. Huh?
No.
Hell no. I ain't that. We was raised different in New York City. Shout out to everybody in every other city tuning in. But in here, when I looked in the room, everybody's face looked like, man, hell no. You got to be kidding. I'm asking for change? Can you picture somebody getting on the 4 train saying, in the heat of rush hour, you're in my way, I'm trying to get on the train. You know how that narrative gonna work.
Push you right away.
Push you right out the way. You might, I don't want to say too much. You might find out just how ghetto it can get. Or is it something that you must demand? Do you ask for respect? I know I command respect. Because guess what I also know, speaking from humility, I'm going to grant you the same level of respect that I demand that you give me. I hope that makes sense. What's beauty about strength is not the exertion or expression thereof, but the restraint thereof, which is called humility. Malcolm X said, nobody can give you freedom. Nobody can give you equality or justice or anything. If you a goddamn man, yeah, I added that, you take it. You take it. You take it. When you enter a forum of black intellectuals void of God consciousness, they tell you the key to black liberation is economics. We must assemble. We must build businesses. We must pool our assets. We must build hedge funds. Brother, you need a status correction. Well, guess what? We have a template in our history for looking into the idea of whether or not economics will bring us liberation. Who's familiar with the term, or the history, better yet, of Black Wall Street? By a show of hands. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, starting May 30th, 1921, throughout the summer of June that year, something very devastating took place in this country called America. For the very first time, you've seen a riot in wide scale on a level that you did not see any time in the country ever before. And it happened to a place a city in a region that was completely and all black. Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the part known as Greenwood, upon his visit, Booker T. Washington coined the term, look at all the success. I mean, they have their own hospitals. Let's go through it. 600 businesses, 21 churches, 21 restaurants. They's probably earned by the churches. You see how they're the same thing? 30 grocery stores. They had 2 movie theaters. We're talking about a city, small city. It wasn't that big. And they had 2. 6 private airplanes. Time out. They gotta be a typo. 1921. In a time where the term lynch a nigga was still pop culture. These black people had 6 private airplanes? I think that they really had a high level of economic success, would you say? Keeping in mind the frame of thought when you enter forums with people who take God out the equation.